It's Frankie Russo over here. We're live at 77 WABC. You better believe it. Let's help America's team help the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. FRusso14 at AOL.com. The funding is slow, but we're going to make this happen. My brother Donald Trump, I'm telling you, he's the next president of the United States. I was looking at the polls. I know what they're up to, the Democrats. They're rigging the polls, and we're going to go into it. I don't know if we'll go into it the pre-show, but we'll go into it in the live show, most definitely. They're rigging the polls. So the polls, these rigged polls got Hillary ahead. So when they steal it, there's their ruse, there's their cover, the polls. It's crazy. But anyway, I didn't get a chance to finish my blog. The printer, unfortunately, is something with the cartridge, so I couldn't. But I'm getting ready to blog my part 17. I'm getting ready to blog part 17 on the Obama-Clinton crime family, and I didn't get a chance to, quite frankly, all the stuff going on this week, I didn't get a chance to finish it, and I just want to keep it real, you know. So I just want to get the model in here. We're going to go through it quick, and then we're going to get to some stuff, because we got a crazy night. We're going to get Donald Trump elected next president of the United States. See, what I wanted, fraudulent sector service registration card, Obama, right? See, because what I want to do is, I think on Wednesday, what I was thinking about tonight is try to give, put it out there, try to give Trump some pointers, quite frankly. Trump's got Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. He's got the top intelligence officers in the world working with him. My perspective is we're coming from the academic perspective, so it could be a different thing. It could be interesting. That's all I'm saying. Because I am statistically significant, as you know. I'm Frankie Russo. So Obama's got a fraudulent sector service card, right? And you see what happens. Why I am always talking about it. Because when you allow the enemy to flourish within the jurisdiction, they come back to bite you. Politics, you gotta. Politics is not a. You don't hug your way to the White House. Let's be real. Look at Donald Trump's going through. We're talking President of the United States, man. They're putting that poor man through. It's so bad. Did you see that testimony from that chick? That testimony? The one that was on the airplane? She said she was okay when DT went for the top, but when he went underneath the dress, that was the end for her. This is the stuff that we and people watch it. So I got the Iranian Global Terror Network. I just want to get this set up because we're gonna move. I want to get to as many articles as I can tonight. So the Iranian surrogates, terror surrogates. Right? And we got IRGC, Quds Force, General Soleimani, Syria, CARE, NAIT, ISNA, ASA Corporation, Alevi Foundation, and Bank Melli. ISIS. So now I'm almost done. I just don't want to. Can it be argued that ISIS isn't a Sunni militia, but rather a Sunni Shia militia? And I watched half of this documentary I found, ISIS, Confronting ISIS on PBS. It was great. I saw half of it. I want to watch the end of the documentary. I got a lot of sources there, and I'm looking to really, really come out with something pretty interesting on it. Conceivably, if we could say ISIS is a Sunni Shia militia. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm close though. I think, because like we said earlier, we have Afghan Taliban. We have an office in Iran. Hair Ruler, Long War Journal, Thomas Jocelyn. Hair Ruler started the office. He was from the Bergdahl trade, Afghan Taliban. And then we got Hamas, Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, Congressional Research Service, sending tens of millions of dollars, Iran, to Hamas with rockets. That's documented. And then we got the Al-Qaeda, 9/11. United States District Courts, Iran supported Al-Qaeda before, during, and after the horrific hit on the World Trade Center. So that's one aspect of it. Then we got the other aspects of it when you got the beginnings, the history of ISIS with Abu Musab al-Zawahiri. And I found out in this documentary, Confronting ISIS, that Musab Abu al-Zawahiri is from Jordan. I'm like, this is crazy stuff, man. So I gotta sift through more stuff before I'm gonna come out. I don't know. I mean, it's really crazy. But I'm gonna make sense of it. That's for sure. That you could count on that. I will make sense of it. I will definitely have an argument, statistically significant argument, outside looking in, an academic argument. Absolutely. So Hamas Iran, Al-Qaeda Iran, ISIS Iran, Afghan Taliban Iran, and Hezbollah is the terrorism, is a Shiite terror group. They are the arm of Iran. And then we got the Blind Sheiks Mosque, right? Then we got five Quds Force leaders released, Erbil, Iraq, and then we got Bergdahl trade, right? And then they sent them to Qatar, and we talked about this. Like the Qatari nationals are funding the terrorist financiers. U.S. Treasury Department has designated them. One of them is Al Numani. So we're sending these terrorists to Qatar. We got $11 billion deal with Qatar, and Qatar is involved in Operation Zero Footprint in Libya. So I mean, so now we got ISIS. Al-Numani is funding ISIS, and Al-Numani is funding Al-Qaeda, Iran nexus. Al-Zawahiri. He's one of them. And then we got the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, Iran, right? And then we got Egypt. See, Egypt is unbelievable how bad Egypt is. What they did to Egypt. That's the beginning of and Iran is there. And then we got Syria, Assad, Quds Force, and then we got Benghazi, cover up, right? And we got, that's Kenneth Tillerman. I just want, because this is the pre-model. Then we're gonna go into the stuff now. So I'm gonna keep this next to us because I'm gonna pop it out. So now I'm gonna go to some articles, and then I want to go, because what I want to do is after the art, we're gonna go to like 12:15. We're gonna be live for a while. So okay, let's look at some articles. The freaking computer up here is running a little slow tonight. So oh my goodness, you're killing me right now. The computer's running slow. All right, well, I'm waiting for this. I might as well start then. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. The disclaimer, we're on the outside looking in. Okay, it's on that. We've decided to put out the statement for the record. We don't sit on any U.S. congressional oversight committees nor are we a member of the International Atomic Energy Agency, nor do we sit on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, nor do we sit on the National Security Council. In other words, we don't have access to any classified documents. With great care, thought, and responsibility, based on court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles, and well-researched open source articles, we search for statistical significance. In other words, in all likelihood and in all probability, we look for trends, inferences, patterns. Then we attempt to conceivably reach responsible conclusions. So the stuff that we blog down here, we're close, I believe. And here's the premise. In the courtroom of American public opinion, the premise is the Obama-Clinton administration is conceivably a criminal enterprise. Not with the FBI definition, which goes into a RICO. That's another discussion. If statistically significant, Obama-Clinton administration is a criminal enterprise, then we can state with much statistical significance that the Obama-Clinton crime family, in all likelihood and all probability, is conceivably materially supporting radical Islamists. So in other words, what we're saying is they are Osama bin Laden. They are Abu Yahya al-Libi. They are Anwar al-Awlaki. They are Mushin al-Fadali. They are. Who's another one? Who's another? Oh, Mullah Mansour. They are Safran Nassour from the Al-Qaeda Iran nexus. All these gentlemen, it's late at night. All these radical Islamists were whacked by drones, right? Whacked by drones. So we say, Frankie Russo, what are you talking about? So the Obama, the Clinton administration, they whacked these guys. They used the drones. Right. That's the whole point. The drone program may have obliterated all of the Al-Qaeda core from 2001, according to the generals and according to the CIA directors, on a very detailed, a very cohesive documentary I saw. What was it called? Spy Masters, CIA and the Crosshairs. They had from like 8 to 12 CIA directors. You can't kill forever. So we might have actually, according to the generals and the CIA directors, we got rid of the core of Al-Qaeda from 2001. But as far as the influence of Al-Qaeda, the influence of ISIS, because ISIS is basically an Al-Qaeda affiliate, right? Iraq is Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Okay, so just now I'm going to go through this model now. I'm going to break it down. There's the first aspect. This is, okay, so, okay, let me start here, right? And then I'm going to go here, and then we'll go to articles. All right, so we got the tie-ins. We got the fraudulent selective service card, Obama. Nobody talks about it. Statistically significant. Obama shouldn't even be serving in the White House. He's got a fraudulent selective service registration card. It's Commander-in-Chief, Sheriff Joe and the cold case posse. Memorandum of Understanding with the Clinton Foundation, right? And this is where things, for me, really get crazy. Because they have the Memorandum of Understanding, the FOIA with Judicial Watch, right? So that's clear and convincing. Now, the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation, according to well-researched open source articles, shared the same IP address with Hillary Clinton's State Department server. Now, here's my statement. Since Hillary Clinton, in order for her to perform her duties as Secretary of State, she utilized and destroyed her quote-unquote personal server in the capacity of Secretary of State. That server is a State Department server. Those documents are the property of the American people, firstly. And those BlackBerries, those iPads, whatever she destroyed, if she acted in the capacity of Secretary of State, that's property of the United States government. That's property of the American people, right? That's firstly. She's not fit to be President of the United States, if you really want to be honest about it. And then the Clinton Foundation, shared a same IP address with the State Department server in Hillary Clinton's basement. And she gave away classified documents to uncleared, unsecured people. Treasonous. That is treasonous. I'm not going to get into the Espionage Act because I'm not a legal scholar, but that's treasonous, right? That being said, now it's going to get even trickier now because this is a State Department server. She destroyed the server. She erased and deleted documents, property of the American people. How can we trust her in the White House? Right? Crazy. Now, Levy Foundation gave $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation, but nobody wants to talk about the charitable fraud conceivably of the Clinton Foundation. There's a lot of data out there supporting the contention that the Clinton Foundation is a charitable fraud, that it's not a charitable entity. So if that's the case, she is unfit to be president, and nobody wants to talk about it in mainstream media. So we got $105,000 going from the Levy Foundation, which is part of the 650 Fifth Avenue case. We talk about this every week, but it's so important to understand it. A Levy Foundation gave $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation. Levy Foundation wasn't deemed a terrorist entity, but it was part of the Iranian terror triad that owned 650 Fifth Avenue, which was originally owned by the Shah of Iran. So, and then later on we found out that the Levy Foundation gave $104 million to the Blind Sheikh's Mosque, conceivably, and we have three sources, pretty statistically significant. And now we go to the Obama timeline. 5 Iranian Quds Force leaders released, throwing human assets back into the field. Bergdahl trade. Take a trader, send 5 Afghan more human assets back in the field to Qatar with $5 billion. Palestinian Authority Hamas, we sent hundreds of millions of dollars to Palestinian Authority Hamas. We talked about Congressional Research Service, Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, right? Crazy, right? Iran's at the end of that funnel. And 88 senators wrote a letter to the Obama-Clinton administration claiming that we're sending all this money to Hamas at the Gaza Strip. How do we know that we're not going to use it for terror? We don't know. Because quite frankly, they are. Right? Crazy. Right? And then we got the Egypt. Now, Egypt, we talked about, Egypt was originally, nobody wants to talk about Egypt, right? Egypt, who did Obama Clinton support in Egypt? Morsi. They threw Mubarak out, who was pro-Israel, pro-America. They put Morsi there, Muslim Brotherhood, and it ended up, Sisi did a coup d'etat, and on the coup d'etat that he did, the Egyptian prosecutor had a big complaint, a big case against Morsi. Morsi's in jail for over 20 years for espionage, cooperating with the Islamic Republic of Iran, with Muslim Brotherhood. This is in Egypt. And Obama and Clinton is attached to that complaint. Crazy. And then we got the Syria Assad situation, which quite frankly, we talk about it every week. The Congressional Research Service, Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, 3 to 15 billion annually to Iran sends to Syria. So Syria is fronting for Iran. And then we got the Benghazi cover-up, which is Kenneth Tillerman, Truth About Benghazi, Dark Forces, Truth About Benghazi, and it ended up being the Iranian Quds Force and Hezbollah, the major leagues, according to Kenneth Tillerman, which put the hit on the unfortunate hit on the 4 Americans. So that's the basic timeline. Now, let's go. We're going into the model because we're going deep. We're going to go in deeper now. Just to give you a little perspective, Pakistan, a world state sponsor of terror. Why hasn't the Obama-Clinton administration actually designated Pakistan as a world state sponsor of terror? Just to give you an example of what we looking at the data that's out there, we don't understand why it hasn't been, quite frankly. We got this gentleman named, not gentleman, radical Islamist, Abdul Qadir Khan. In the intelligence community, it's AQ Khan. He's a nuclear scientist. He is a nuclear proliferator. He is the father, according to the Time magazine article, he is the father of the Pakistani nuclear program. And then we got President Pervez Musharraf from 2001 to 2008. He had to resign because he was going to get impeached, and the radical Islamists. We got the executive branch of the United States government expressed concerns over AQ Khan's activities to President Musharraf. Plus, President Musharraf ends up pardoning. He pardoned AQ Khan, the father of the Pakistani nuclear program, and he ended up becoming this nuclear physicist. Ended up becoming a nuclear proliferator for rogue nations like Iran and North Korea. And it's well documented in the Time magazine article that Iran sent money bags to this cat, AQ Khan, millions of dollars. Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Iranian Quds Force with General Soleimani materially supported Afghan Taliban, Al Qaeda. Well, it was Al Qaeda, and they went through Afghanistan. Was part of the situation before, during it. Okay, all right. Okay, this is different. All right, right. Okay, materially supported is really Al Qaeda, and they went through Afghanistan, and the Iran was involved as with the before, during, and after with Herullah from Afghanistan, Herullah from the Afghan Taliban, and the Afghan Taliban Center in the Iranian city of Sahadan City. This is the Long War Journal. Thomas Jocelyn, Omar Mullah Mansour, President Musharraf, materially supported. Now this is what really happened. So we got what's going on right now. We got President Musharraf, the president of Afghanistan, who's talking every day to the president of the United States. This is before Obama. He supported with money, training, human assets, and weapons the Afghan Taliban, plus Osama bin Laden, plus Ayman al-Zawahiri, al-Qaeda leaders for the Kashmir conflict, right? And President Musharraf praised these radical Islamists, Afghan Taliban, al-Qaeda leaders, and other radical Islamists, calling them heroes. Crazy stuff, right? And what's really interesting with this whole thing going on, which is really kind of crazy, I think, if I remember correctly, Musharraf is calling them heroes after 9/11, 2001. I think that's the case. And I got to check that out later. Then we got the Afghan Taliban. Now, to understand the geopolitical side of this, Pakistan and Afghanistan borders Iran. Just understand that. Afghan Taliban leader, governor, and member of the Bergdol Swap, Herullah, Afghan Taliban supreme leaders Omar Mullah Mansour, and President Karzai. From 2001 to 2014, Afghan Taliban governor and member of Bergdol Swap, Herullah, spearheaded the building of Afghan Taliban Center in the Iranian city of Sahadan, which is Long War Journal, Thomas Jocelyn. Supreme leaders Omar Mullah Mansour, Herullah's very strong ties to Karzai, sent over 625,000 cash at a time, money bags from Iran. This is like the hundreds of millions of dollars in unmarked bills in an unmarked plane in the heat of the night going to Iran from the United States. Therefore, Pakistan model with President Musharraf has these overt ties to radical Islamists. Afghan Taliban model, Karzai overt ties to radical Islamists. What I found troubling with this Afghan Taliban model, this Afghanistan model, and this Pakistan model, is that these presidents that are sitting in office for these respective countries actually know. They don't like. It's not like in the 40s and the 50s in Bensonhurst. You know, the gangsters. Where are the gangsters? One lives over there. They don't know them, but they heard of them. One lives over there in a part of Bad David, whatever. One lives another part of Avenue, whatever. It's not like that. These presidents in Pakistan and Afghanistan know them, work with them, materially supported them, and they're presidents of their respective countries. So I found that really, really discerning. And then I said, based on that information, in all likelihood and probability, we can't conceivably state, because this is just another example of Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton with much statistical significance. Radicalism is, they are overtly acquainted with them, right? And Frankie Russo, like, how do you say that? Well, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm gonna come back. Okay. I just want to see if I can pull this article up. Okay. Here it is. Is this it? No. Okay. Now, the bizarre drive. Okay. So, Obama, in September of 2015, this is where, I'll tell you the truth, I found this very discerning. Obama in September, this is the New York Post editorial board. Obama in September 27th of 2015, in September 2015, de Blasio skipped this conference on combating violent extremism. 21 groups begging, there was 21 groups that was in this violent extremism symposium. The premise of the program is the adaptation and expression of extreme and radical ideas of individuals on the path toward violence, and that there are observable indicators to identify those vulnerable to radicalization or at risk of being recruited by terrorist groups. This is simply not true. Despite years of federal funding efforts, researchers have not developed reliable criteria that can be used to predict who will act a terrorist act. That's not true. That's not true. The extremism program seems designed to do just that, find reliable. The Department of Homeland Security puts it to gain a better understanding of the behaviors, tactics, and other. And this is a ruse like you wouldn't believe, right? So Obama has this conference on violent extremism, and guess what he does, which I found very odd. It was like he was doing an Islamist takeover walkthrough to see if he can actually do some sort. He blacked out, media blacked out the White House, and he had all these radical Islamists, these stealth Muslim Brotherhood operatives from the Holy Land Foundation trial, like Muhammad Magid, like Omar, I think it's Omar Ahmed from CARE, people like that were unindicted co-conspirators on the biggest money laundering scheme for terrorism in history, the Holy Land Foundation trial. He had them going in and out of the White House, and the media wasn't aware of all the people that were going to this conference, so-called conference. What was this? Was this a radical Islamist takeover of the White House for a day to see how to do like a drive-through? And I find it rather odd that the Department of Homeland Security is claiming to gain a better understanding of behavior, where they actually wiped clean all the data on radical Islamists from the Department of Homeland Security. According to the New York Post, John Brennan did it, former CIA director. At the time, he was a deputy of the Homeland Security. Yeah. Wiped it clean. So Filippini on all of television was claiming that the data that he compiled would enable him to stop San Bernardino and Orlando. We've talked about this before. So this is all, and then you got the FBI guidelines where they've increased the threshold. The Obama-Clinton administration has increased the threshold of which the FBI has to reach in order to say, these are radical Islamists. We have to detain them. Because if you look at the like Romani and these other past people that were like Romani was the last guy that did the Chelsea hit, unfortunate hit in New York City. He was detained by the FBI numerous times, but he didn't hit the threshold of the guidelines that the Obama-Clinton administration, it was a higher standard, just threw him out. The fact that they don't say radical Islam, the Department of Homeland Security can't even say the word radical Islam. This is like a systemic, methodical Islamist takeover, I believe. But anyway, to get back to the model now, we'll get back to my Oh, God. The computer's slow tonight. Right. So now, I just wanted to, I did a little sidebar on this. Now, to take this a step further, right, we talked about Pakistan. We gave some instances in Pakistan, why we believe why isn't Pakistan a world state sponsor of terror? Afghanistan, there's a lot going on over there. And then when you take all this other stuff, the Iranian nuke deal, U.S. sanctions lifted, 150 billion back to Iran. Weapons of mass funding, weapons of mass destruction, funding their nuclear program. Iran enables Iran to get back into OPEC. The Benghazi attack. Now I'm going to get into a little something. What time we got? I got a few more minutes before I can get. Okay. Now, the Benghazi attack analysis, the structure. This is Claire Lopez, former 35 years a CIA director, and Kenneth Timmerman, a tremendous investigative reporter. Dark Forces, Truth About Benghazi. We got the Obama-Clinton U.S. Operation Zero Footprint, Gaddafi coup d'etat. Now, you got Obama-Clinton administration funneling through Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE, according to Claire Lopez, sends money, weapons, and training to the Transnational Council leaders who end up leading the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. Mustafa Jalal, Abdel Hakim Belhaj, plus Safran bin Kumu, who was originally a Gitmo detainee in 2007, was released and sent to Tripoli prison. And we got Abu Khatala, who's the only detainee that was detained by the Obama-Clinton administration on the Benghazi situation. And I'm going to tell you why they did that in a second. Now, first question I ask, why are we going into Libya? We know that Gaddafi put those P1s, those centrifuges, right at the foot, right on the Bush is right there. The president was right there. He put the P1s, the centrifuges on the floor. I am not pursuing weapons of mass destruction. This was during the Bush. This was the pre-bomber. So why are we taking out Gaddafi? Why? According to Claire Lopez, we have weapons coming in. Billions of dollars worth of weapons coming in to fund the coup d'etat. Whether it was real or fake, there's questions about that. The Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, headed by 2 Muslim Brotherhood operatives. According to Claire Lopez, Mustafa Jalal, who no longer, he died. I don't know how he died, but I'm going to find that out soon. Mustafa Jalal, both Muslim Brotherhood, sold the weapons that they got from the U.S. Operation Zero Footprint, back to the Gaddafi regime. Got money. General Yunus of the Gaddafi regime defected to this Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. And Mustafa Jalal was very concerned that Yunus was going to find out what he did. So he gave the direct order, direct command, according to Claire Lopez, direct order, and this is in WikiLeaks, by the way, direct order, direct command to Abu Khatala to whack the Gaddafi general, Yunus. And that's what he did, right? So we have a Muslim Brotherhood operative leading this Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. We have the U.S. Operation Zero Footprint materially supporting Al-Qaeda affiliates, right? Arming Al-Qaeda affiliates. It could very well just be ISIS, for all we know. And I'm going to give you something in a second that'll confirm this even further. So what I believe is they arrested and detained Abu Khatala not because of the hit on Benghazi. That's a ruse, because what he knows about the hit on Yunus, which would blow Hillary Clinton out of the water. So a little sidebar on. So they successful with the coup d'état on Gaddafi or whatever. Gaddafi wanted to make a deal. They wanted to whack him, and they whacked him. So now, just for the record, the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, which was fronted by the Operation Zero, they're fronting for Operation Zero Footprint. They're fronting for because NATO was involved in this. Just for the record, NATO was involved in this. This was crazy, right? NATO was involved in this, according to Claire Lopez and Kenneth Tillman. Interesting enough, I'm not sure about Kenneth Tillman saying that, but I know Claire Lopez did. Okay. Now, what's really interesting on this whole thing is that in 2015, the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group was delisted by the State Department. In other words, it was taken off the terrorist entity list, and Mustafa Jalal is died, but Abdel Hakim Belhaj is still alive. You know where he is? All published reports, he's out in Syria leading ISIS. You just can't make this stuff up. Muslim Brotherhood. Now, the attack on Benghazi. Now we had the Safran Ben Kumu, we had Abu Katala, which eventually this whole thing was Ansar al-Sharia, which is another Al-Qaeda affiliate. So this is like September 2011 was Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, 2012 was Ansar al-Sharia, right? What's really interesting about this situation was in September of in the summer of 2012, Abu Yahya al-Libi was whacked by a drone, and he was supposed to take over the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. There were two videos that came out on the reasons why these attacks occurred, because we're in the middle of an election, and the Obama-Clinton crime family had their own messaging, and it conflicted with their messaging or whatever. And so that was part of the situation. So I had that Muslim video, and according to the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, this is judicialwatch.org. They claimed there was another video. Another video was from Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri, right? Ayman al-Zawahiri was saying revenge for the killing of Abu Yahya al-Libi. Just to give you an idea of the corruption with the mainstream media. Yeah, Abu Yahya al-Libi. I just want to give you an idea. September 11th, 2012. Now, the time zone. I got to get this information. Time zone between USA and Libya. I don't know what the time difference is. Let's see. I think it's 7 hours. I think they're ahead 7 hours, if I'm not mistaken. I checked it out before. Let's say it is. I think it's 7 hours. I checked that out earlier. I'm pretty certain it's a 7-hour difference. Libya is ahead 7 hours. Right? Libya is ahead 7 hours. I think. I'm pretty certain. In all likelihood, no probability, I'm right. September 11, 2012, 2:33 a.m. Al-Qaeda confirms death of bin Laden confidant Abu Yahya al-Libi in Reuters. Al-Qaeda confirmed on Tuesday that one of the group's most senior figures, veteran militant Abu Yahya al-Libi, had died in U.S. drone strike earlier this year. The U.S. government said in June it had killed Libi in Pakistan, dealing the biggest in a series of blows to a group since the raid of Osama bin Laden. Another ruse. I probably announced to the Muslim and the holy fighters the news of the martyrdom of the lion Libya Sheikh Hassan Mohammed Khalad, Al-Qaeda leader. Ayman al-Zawahiri said in a video released in Islamist videos. So that's their ruse. That's the Obama-Clinton ruse. And you see Reuters using their media outlet to frame the narrative for the Obama-Clinton administration, the lie. Because according to Kenneth Timmerman, Ansar al-Sharia, an Al-Qaeda affiliate, was the JV team. And Obama was right. The Al-Qaeda affiliates, ISIS, these are the JV team, right? The major leagues is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Iranian Quds Force with General Soleimani. That's my phone, right? According to Kenneth Timmerman, it was because there were weapons going into Libya in 2011. In 2012, weapons were going out of Libya to where conceivably the Syrian rebels to take out Assad. And once the Iranian Quds Force, General Soleimani, got a sniff of this, it was game over with Hezbollah. Crazy stuff, right? Syrian rebels, and whatever weapons, according to the Obama Clinton crime family, they sent, according to, I don't know how much they sent there, but published reports was 500 million. Plus, so what did it create? 30 to 60 and conceivably 8 to 9 trained Syrian rebels, and eventually they gave their weapons up to ISIS. Another ruse, right? Then we talked about Palestinian Authority, Hamas, rockets. We talked about the jet fighters going to Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, plus money going to Qatar. O'Reilly Show, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer. And then we got this this whole model, and when you put this all together, and what I found very extraordinary as well. I just want to talk briefly, and then we'll get to the articles. The Islamic Republic of Iran. This is going back to the model of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Sends over $1.4 million to the Blind Cheeks Mosque. So Frankie Russo, how do you know the Blind Cheek is using this for terror? Well, I don't have a front and back check signed by the Blind Cheek from the Al Farouk Mosque buying, I don't know, 10,000 pipe bombs with $1.4 million. I don't have that. But I have this. I have the Kelly Moore article. She's a 10-year, a former U.S. District Attorney of the Southern District for 10 years. She wrote this article, the pre-9/11, post-9/11, all the FBI investigations. It's a great article in the Lewis and Clark Law Journal. U.S. radical Islamic terror, the Blind Sheikh, and the Jersey City Mosque with Muhammad al-Anudi and Musa Abu Marzouk, the Holy Land Foundation founders. Muhammad al-Anudi, Musa Abu Marzouk, these are all Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas financing, which equals 246 Muslim Brotherhood Front Organization individuals in the Holy Land Foundation trial. Plus, you got 650 Fifth Avenue case, which deals with the mullahs of Iran funneling money to the Sunnis at the Blind Sheikh's Mosque, and Muhammad al-Anudi and Musa Abu Marzouk. They're all Muslim Brotherhood operatives. They're Sunni. So you got the Shia, the Sunni, totally contradictory of the mainstream argument of the Sunni-Shia divide. And then we got the Iran's Alevi Foundation, and then we got out of the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. Initially, in the mid to early to mid 90s and late 90s, it was illegal money transmitting coming out of the Brooklyn, Jersey City out to the global radicalismist terror network. And one of the cats from the FBI investigation that had this Al-Rani illegal money transmitting ring, according to the Kelly Moore article, was Yemen Sheikh Al-Mawad. 20 million to Al-Qaeda, 5 million to Hamas. And he fingered Abad Al-Fiji. Abad Al-Fiji was the owner of the Brooklyn Ice Cream Parlor in Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. So you're sitting there eating a frap, and then come the FBI. This cat's got $21 million in a bank account sending money. He's sending money out to all the terrorist entities. So what happened was, and then you got the terror financing, then you got Ramzi Youssef from Pakistan, you got Abu Alima. They all were major perpetrators of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. And guess what? He's from Pakistan, Ramzi Youssef, and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is the maternal uncle of Ramzi Youssef. Ramzi Youssef is serving two lifetime sentences in prison for terrorism, and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was waterboarded in Gitmo. Crazy stuff. Little sidebar. I talked about this before in this whole thing. The Alevi Foundation. I got two of them. The Alevi Foundation, which is part of the Iranian terror triad. The Alevi Foundation, right? Alevi Foundation. With the Assa Corporation and Bank Melli of Iran, which is a U.S. Treasury deemed proliferative weapons of mass destruction, the Alevi Foundation, one of the executive directors served 15 years of obstruction of justice, right? The Weekly Standard, what happened to Mohammed Zarif? Mohammed Zarif was educated in America, and he's within the United States jurisdiction from Iran, and he was the Iranian ambassador to the UN, and he was also at the time during this questionable period of terror financing, money laundering for terror out of the 650 Fifth Avenue building. Mohammed Zarif was in knee deep in the court papers, according to the Weekly Standard. So much so that the Weekly Standard wrote an article claiming that they don't understand how Mohammed Zarif got away with not getting prosecuted, because he was so in deep with this whole process. Because the 650 Fifth Avenue case, Preet Bharara brought the complaint, and Southern District Judge Catherine Forrest came out with the ruling that the Islamic Republic of Iran is funneling money through the fronts of Alevi Foundation, Asset Corporation, and Bank Mali of Iran to the weapons of mass destruction in Iran. They streamlined this thing. They seized the property, and the mullahs up at the 215 was reappealing, and they lost. And what's really crazy is Mohammed Zarif now is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Iran and was the chief negotiator of the Iranian nuke deal. Right? Is that not insane? So once again, we allow these radical Islamists to stay within the United States jurisdiction, like CARE, like Mohammed Zarif, like Omar Ahmed, the head of CARE, like Mohammed Magid, who was an unindicted co-conspirator of Holy Land Foundation trial. He's the head of the ISNA, Islamic Society of North America. We got all these radical Islamists in this, and then we had 7. Next week I'm going to get more details on the 7 to 10 or whatever number in the Obama-Clinton administration. But this is where we're at with this, because I'm very concerned. Besides the imploding United States economy or the United States dollar, I'm very concerned with obviously the United States Congress and these radical Islamists. The United States Congress put the committee H.R. 5194, deeming, according to Michelle Bachmann presented it with Trent Franks from Arizona, Muslim Brotherhood is a foreign terrorist organization. Egypt has it, UAE have it, we don't, because we have radical Islamists in the Congress. Crazy stuff. Now, that's one thing. Now I'm going to get to this other stuff. Now these articles. Let's get to these articles. All righty. Some of the articles that I found today. All right, so we got, I got another 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Who won a debate? Obviously, I'm a Trump guy. Here's interesting. Hillary Clinton leaked Saudi Arabia and Qatar are funding ISIS. I mean, honestly, this is an interesting situation. ISIS is a Sunni militia, right now anyway. I'm trying to see if it's a Sunni Shia militia. Saudi Arabia and Qatar, right, that's from the Persian Gulf, they're Sunni. Iran is the leading Shia. Iran is going to be the regional hegemony, Hegemony, of the entire North African, Middle Eastern region, I believe. And what I find really, what I'm still trying to figure out, quite frankly, is because Iran and Sudan, Omar al-Bashir is Muslim Brotherhood. It's published reports, Washington Post, no friend of Trump. Washington Post has some good stuff and some bad stuff. Omar al-Bashir, Sudan, was funneling weapons to Iran at one point. For over 25 years, they had a tremendous relationship with Iran. But according to published reports, Sudan now went to Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia's biggest concern is their market share in OPEC. Now that Iran is in OPEC, and with Russia, they're looking to whack on Saudi Arabia. That's one aspect of it. But then when you go to 2001 and you find out that 15 of the 19 the hits on the United States, on the horrific hit on the World Trade Center, they were mostly, 15 of them were at least Saudi Arabia nationals, right? And then you find out in court papers that Saudi Arabia conceivably materially supported money, and Iran provided safe haven before, during, and after, materially supported before, during, after. So, I mean, this horrific hit on the World Trade Center. So, I mean, like, they work with Saudi. Did they work with Saudi Arabia on this? Have they not? I don't know. I'm gonna get to the bottom of that. So then we got the Clinton camp appeared to have contacts with the DOJ on an email scandal. We know about this. New York Times gave Hillary Clinton veto power in her quotes. Unbelievable. I showed you the Libya thing with Reuters, the collusion with media and the Obama Clinton crime family. Just 5.7% of the Clinton Foundation budget actually went to charitable grants. I'm telling you, they don't want to talk about Clinton Foundation conceivably being a charitable fraud. Brazil denies Clinton camp advance notice on CNN town hall question. It's funny about that because during the first debate with Lester Holt, it was going through my mind. I bet you Hillary Clinton's got the questions before she went in. And you got that guy from the NBC Nightly News. I forgot his name with the gray hair. He was the guy that after Hillary Clinton, the thing was over, she left the podium. He took this folder of papers and gave it to conceivably Lester Holt. They have footage of him meeting Hillary Clinton in the beginning of this debate when they first arrived at the hotel to prep for the debate. Obviously, she got the questions then. I don't have the data to say in all likelihood, but I could say conceivably based on the data, I believe that it's in all likelihood, no probability she got the questions before the debate, just based on the way Lester Holt handled the debate. Did Paul Ryan's top advisor leak the Trump tape? There's some to support that, maybe, conceivably. It looks like maybe. Looks pretty crazy, right? Benghazi committee Dems coordinated with top Clinton lawyer. Unbelievable. Missile again fired at U.S. Navy from the Yemen, which is controlled by Iran. Unbelievable level of collusion between Clinton and the DOJ on email investigation. U.S. cash on Iran may have funded attack on America. Why am I not shocked? We have radical Islamists conceivably in the White House. Obama Clinton crime family. I mean, this is not just one. Clinton calls Trump's supporters rednecks? Really? I found that was unbelievable. Armed dealer says administration made him scapegoat on Libyan operation to protect Clinton. This is the weapon situation. And, we talked about the Libya. And then we got this is an interesting one. This one, did Reuters uncover a murder? I had the Scalia thing. Now I had somebody was calling me up. I haven't heard from the guy in a while. The theory comes from a WikiLeaks email from Hillary Clinton's chairman, John Podesta, to D.C. lobbyist Stephen Elmendorf. Elmendorf was also the former chief of staff to the Democratic leader, Dick Gephardt. Podesta writes, didn't think wet works meant pool parties at the Vineyard. I'm all in. Sounds like it was a bad night. We all need to buckle up and double down. Wet work is a slang for assassination. The theory goes that Podesta's use of wet work implies an assassination. And the references to pool vineyard refer to the Creek Ranch, the Chibolo Creek Ranch, where Scalia's body was found. The ranch does have a pool and is believed that a vineyard is just down the road. This email was just written 4 days before Scalia was found dead on February 13th, 2016. So I'm like, what the hell is going on over here, I don't know why this thing is not working. And here's another one that Woodward and Bernstein, 40 years after Watergate, Nixon was far worse than we thought. As Senator Sam Ervin completed his 20-year Senate career in 1974, issued his final report as chairman. This is the Washington Post, Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward, the heroes of the liberal media elite. They wrote a book, All the President's Men, on Nixon. And they got a movie on this. The money they made off of the Richard Nixon debacle. What was Watergate? Countless answers have been offered in 40 years since June 17, 1972, when a team of burglars wearing business suits and rubber gloves were arrested at 2:30 a.m. at the headquarters of the Democratic Party in Watergate office building in Washington. 4 days afterward, Nixon offered its answer. Certain elements may try to stretch this beyond what it was, a third-rate burglary. History proved that it was anything but that. 2 years later, Nixon became the first and only president to resign his role in the criminal conspiracy to obstruct justice, the Watergate cover-up. If he burned the tapes, these guys would not be heroes. Another answer has since persisted, often unchallenged, the notion that the cover-up was worse than the crime. This idea minimizes the scale and reach of Nixon's criminal action. Irvin's answer to his own question hints at the magnitude of Watergate. To destroy, insofar as the presidential election of 72 was concerned, the integrity of the process by which the President of the United States is nominated and elected. Yet Watergate was far more than that, Watergate was a brazen, daring assault led by Nixon himself against the heart of American democracy, the Constitution, a system of free elections, and the rule of law. Wow. This was written in June of 2012, an opinion piece by the Washington Post. And we have a Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, operating in the capacity of Secretary of State, getting a private server. But wait, she's Secretary of State, so that server that she's operating under as Secretary of State is the State Department server. The documents on that server is the property of the people of America. Now, not only did she utilize this State Department server to do her work, but she also deleted the documents on that work, and she destroyed the server to some extent. And whatever else she did with these other related devices, the Blackberries or iPads or whatever, 13 devices or whatever, that's also United States government property. That's also property of the people of America. This is, to me, crazy stuff, man. When you got, and the Washington Post endorsed Hillary Clinton, right? And they lambasted Nixon. Why? Because he bombed Cambodia? Vietnam was a horrible war. Nobody likes war, but Vietnam didn't start with Nixon. Vietnam started, I like the president, John Kennedy, but it started with him, and LBJ just took it to another level. That's that article. And then we got this thing with the polls. This is interesting, you know. This poll thing is really interesting. Now, I'm looking for the one. Is this it? Okay. The statepolls.com, statespoll.com. I'm not sure who runs this. I don't know. But I found it rather interesting because he goes into some depth with the data. Myself, I'm a math guy. I'm still one of my goals is because I love science. I'm not in a graduate. I'm trying to get into a graduate physics program. So I study on my own right now. I'm trying to get it. So I'm an amateur scientist. I've written up scientific experiments, the methods with my professors, methods, and put together a small random sample, garnered the data, and put it before a null hypothesis to see to statistical significance. So I have an understanding. I have an understanding of looking at data and looking at numbers and what you can draw, inferences you can draw, conclusions you can draw, and or if any. Now in this instance, what I found interesting was the Ohio data. I can't find that article, man. I'm looking for that. Yeah, because the state polls. It's interesting because. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna go on the website. State polls. Statepolls.com. Statepoll.com, I mean. That's what we got to go on. State poll, polls, state poll, states poll. That's it, .com. Now, oh man, I put the wrong one in. Statepoll.com. I'm gonna get out of here soon because I gotta get ready for the show, the live show. Okay, I'm looking for an older one. I'm looking for the Ohio one. This is just the 14. I'm looking for one earlier in the week. Let me see if I can find it. I can't find the archives. But it was interesting. Okay, I just want to give you. I'll give you a quick synopsis, and I'm gonna get out of here. Now, it's my understanding in Ohio they came out with, like, after the debate and after with the chick with those tapes, the Trump tapes, that the poll came out Clinton up by 9 in Ohio, which I don't believe, quite frankly. Not even close. I think Trump is winning in Ohio. I think Trump is winning. Trump is going to crush her in the Rust Belt. What they're doing with the polls, not only are the random samples are being weighed heavily Democratic, the demographics they're playing with. Instead of, generally speaking, you get 100 Ohioans in 2016, they're claiming 50 to 60% is made up with high school grads and college, some college. And then the rest, 40%, is made up with college degrees and postgraduate degrees. Trump does better in the 60% portion. Hillary Clinton does better in the 40% portion, right? What they did was on the polls, they flipped the demographics. On one poll I saw, according to statespoll.com, 60% of the random sample was from college degree people, postgraduate degree people, and 40% was for high school graduate people and people with some college. So it favored Clinton. So this is why what we're seeing here is, conceivably, they are rigging the polls. So it's the ruse of ruse. So this way, when they attempt to do the voter fraud, they have a way out. While they're accused of a steal or whatever, they can just point to the polls. So what are you talking about? There's the polls. And that's what we have to watch. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. I've been on the air for too long, or long enough, over an hour. Frankie Russo, yeah. Get ready for the live show in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. America's team, got to help America's team, help American men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder, 22 suicides a day. F. Russo, FRUSSO 14 at AOL.com. I'll see you all in about 40 minutes. Frankie Russo, yeah. See you in about 40 minutes or so live.